Hello, and welcome to John's Comics with Kids and my new edited video, Comic Community News. We're looking at the kind of information you need to know, whether it's hot spec and what's going on in the market, or whether it's hot reviews of those new books that you want to know what to pick up, or whether it's the information about the books coming out next week and what books you don't want to miss. If that sounds like something you want to check out, then stick around and enjoy the news. That's right, our top story today is the spec market, or as we like to call it, Crash 2021. We're looking at those books that maybe have gone a little farther than they should go with their value, books that are maybe a little undervalued, and books that are somewhere in the middle and you should probably hold on to for now. First up, we've got our green light pick topic of the week, which is mutants. They're everywhere, and the books are getting hotter and hotter. New records for Giant Size X-Men #1, X-Men #1. Heck, I'm sure even the 90s X-Men #1 is going to start spiking soon. My recommendation for you is a book that is often overlooked. When people are talking about Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men, even X-Men '94, and all these great Wolverine books, somehow the book that keeps getting forgotten is Incredible Hulk 182? This book does include our favorite hairy mutant Wolverine, but often gets overlooked in the argument of 180 versus 181. This is the ugly stepchild that nobody talks about, and might just be a book you can get for a deal and still feel like you got a great early appearance of a huge mutant character. Let's talk about our yellow light pick of the week, which is New Mutants '98 and Rob Liefeld, the book that doesn't seem to ever want to go away. Even when we're talking about a character that probably won't be on screen for years to come, we still have a book hitting all new huge records. Do I think you should sell? If you can get a good deal, do it. Do I think you should buy? If you can get a good deal, do it. But more than likely, this is a hold on and wait. If you love this character, there are millions of copies of this book. Not accurate. Don't actually judge that. The truth is, this book has many, many, many copies out there, and you should be able to find it without going and breaking the bank. I recommend waiting and being cautious and careful whether you're buying or selling New Mutants '98. That brings us to our red light, which is cards. I don't know when we stopped being a comic community and started being a card community, but it probably happened somewhere around the time that we decided to throw away our copies of X-Force 1 so that we could buy the card with Deadpool on it. Hashtag Shatterstar card all the way. My comment to you is save your money. Buy the comics of the characters you love and don't overspend on a card that people will forget about once the new shiny object comes along. And that's it for our Spec Watch. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something. And now let's move on to reviews. That's right. We're looking at those books from the last few weeks at your local comic shop that you probably might have missed or were unsure of whether you wanted to spend the money on. And hey, with prices going up from DC and Marvel, we probably don't want to be wasting our money if we can avoid it. Let's start with a little DC. I will say I went out on a limb and tried out another DC book. This was Teen Titans Academy #1. I thought I would give this a go. It definitely felt like a bit of a money grab in the Strange Academy kind of way, but it didn't ruin the enjoyability for this reviewer. I had a really good time. I thought it was another great Nightwing story, in the last 2 weeks. So I was excited to see him being used so effectively by DC. I will be getting issue #2 of this DC book, and I recommend you check it out yourself if you somehow missed out on it. But now let's take a look at a Marvel book that I didn't care for, and that is Alien, the hot spec book that people bought 25 copies of. I'm looking at you, Perry. I didn't care for it. I loved the first film, adore the second film, and really could just do without the whole rest of everything. I've tried a little bit of the Dark Horse, and I've tried all the other films, and I really don't necessarily like any of it. Personally, I think it de-evolved into some kind of torture horror genre that I really don't care for. The original two films certainly had their elements of horror, but they were more about the characters, and this felt like it left the characters behind, in my opinion, to set up a cheap horror idea. So I am passing on any future issues of Alien. It's just not for me, and not my cup of tea. But let's jump over to an indie book instead. I read Shadow Doctor, issue number 2, and I cannot recommend this book enough. Issue number 1 was a great setup of a true story involving Al Capone and the doctor who couldn't get a job working at the White hospitals, but could get a job working for Capone himself. This was powerful, original, and I'm really looking forward to more. This might be the best Aftershock book since We Live. So if you have not tried Shadow Doctor, that's my recommendation to you on the indies side. But that's not all, folks. We here at John's Comics with Kids and the Comic Community News channel are looking for you in the comic book community to be our roving reporters on the scene. And this week we have none other than Will the Beast from Hero and the Kid. Will, what have you been reading, and where are you these days?
What's up, Hero Squad? It's Will the Beast, and I'm giving you my book that I recommend to all of you that I was generally surprised by, and I think you'll all be surprised by it as well. And I'm talking about Catwoman, written by Ron V. and has art by Fernando Blanco. This book took me by surprise. I read the very first issue of Catwoman last week, issue number 29. That was my very first issue of Catwoman. It shocked me how good it was. I love the story. I love the artwork. It was generally an awesome comic book, and I recommend all of you to check that book out. Make sure you stay tuned for the rest of John's video. I think you'll really like it. Once again, I'm Will the Beast. I'm in Connecticut at Lightning Fitness, all the way on the other side of the country from John's Comics with Kids. Peace out, and hit the subscribe for John.
Where else would you find Will the Beast but pumping iron and looking fierce? Thank you, Will. We appreciate it, man. If you guys don't know Hero and the Kid, I put the link to their channel down below, but there's just no way you can't have heard of these gentlemen. Sean and Will doing a great job, and I appreciate them being our first on-the-scene reporter, out in the world, reading comics and letting you know what they think. If you'd like to be a roving reporter, hit me up on Instagram because we're always looking for more. Wait until next week and you'll see who joins us for episode 2. But now, moving on. Thank you, John. And now moving on, we come to our look ahead. We want to let you know what's the books that you should be looking for next week at your local comic book shop for New Comic Book Day. Those of you who are the fans of the pull list, which we used to do on this channel, can look forward to a hot look at Marvel, DC, and Indies for next week. We're looking at April 7th, and I will hit you off with some DC smoking hot ideas right off the bat, starting with Swamp Thing, issue number 2. Number 1 was a really great setup, a throwback to the Alan Moore saga of the Swamp Thing. New character taking over as the Swamp Thing, so I'm looking forward to the second issue to really see where they take this horror and Immortal Hulk style story and where could it go. I'm also going to recommend Green Lantern. I know you're thinking, well, isn't Grant Morrison doing that? No, it has been shut down, and I believe they're moving on with this new Green Lantern run by Thorne, and I'm excited to kind of see John Stewart front and center here. So this is going to be a new Green Lantern series focusing on some lanterns going back and deciding as a team, what are they doing going forward? Who is protecting which sectors? Some fun new lanterns may take appearances here. And I will say, cover of the week is this Maleev cover. Man, love this artist and love this variant. I believe it's a 1 in 25, and it definitely rings the old bell here. And I'm looking forward to trying to see if I can snag a copy of that. But that's it at DC. What are we looking at Marvel? Well, this is Donny Cates' finale week. We've got the issue 5 of The King in Black. This has been amazing. It's going to finish out, and Donny Cates is going to get to say goodbye to Venom the way he's always wanted. And we have Venom 34 also coming out this week. So these two books side to side, I definitely feel like this is going to be the big discussion topic next week, April 7th. So if you are not fully into King in Black, I'm sorry to say, that's what we're all going to be talking about. And it should all set up the final issue that Donny Cates is writing, issue 35, which should be an epilogue to this entire, in my opinion, all-time great run of comics. So that is my Marvel must-reads. That leaves us with our indies. And on the indie side, we got two comics that I'm very looking forward to hearing the next issues from these runs. We have Hollow Heart issue 2, which got pushed back a week by Vault Comics. Issue 1 laid a lot of great groundwork, a Shape of Water kind of story. I'm very excited to see what will issue 2 be. Can they make this even better going forward? So definitely reading issue 2 of Hollow Heart. But my read of the week, my hope, is going to be the finale to Origins from Boom Studios. This was a 6-issue limited miniseries, and I really think this final issue is going to just cap off another great Boom Studios comic. If you have not read Origins, I'm definitely recommending it, but I'm also sorry to say Boom Studios very slow on releasing their graphic novels and their trades, so it could be a while before you get this one in your store. However, if you can find good deals on the issues, they're not being crazy spec on right now, so you could find a great read for probably a great price. And I'm recommending Origins issue 6 as my pick of the week for next week. Back to you, John. Thank you, John. And that wraps it up for us today on Comic Community News, the show that brings you a little spec. Hey, how's that market doing? A little reading. Hey, what are the reviews of the good books this week? And a little look ahead. Hey, what do I want to make sure I don't miss next week? Also, keep an eye out for our roving reporters like Will the Beast from Hero and the Kid. His channel's linked down below, and we appreciate him hanging with us. And I wonder who we might have hanging with us next time. If you want to be a roving reporter, let us know. If you want to be watching more Tag Team Thursday, because that's what we're doing today, check the links down below, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching Comic Community News. So long.